I don't see it as 4 o'clock yet, I see it.
That's right.
That clock is wrong.
It's
Oh,
5
okay.
o'clock somewhere, yeah.
A little slow. Call the February 20th meeting to order. Auburn Water District. First item is to approve the minutes of January 16th.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Was Diane?
All in favor? Thank you. Financial reports.
Okay, 1 month in. I just do want to know, and I know it came up last night too, so I tried to allocate the budget line for the water sales, the top line, based on last year's spread.
Okay.
So it's not just one drop. We'll see how
good.
that, we'll
Oh,
see how
cool.
that
Thank
goes.
you.
It really didn't,
Andy,
it
yes,
doesn't really vary a whole lot, to be honest.
No, but I mean, it's more
But it is
realistic.
a trend, yeah. And same with the payroll line, I've tried to, capture the, some months have 5 weeks instead of 4, and that kind of thing. So if there's any other lines you want, we can look at it. But
Well, one question on that top line though, is I thought we were just budgeting flat line sales for this year.
No, so our budget of the 2.6 was a forecasted number where we thought we were gonna end last year when we did the budget in the middle of December.
Okay.
We missed it by about $7,000.
Okay.
So that's why the budget isn't equal to last year's January. That's the
Okay.
mistake. And we were down 1.45% in gallons sold. We're still gonna have timing items with when we read the meters and that type of thing. Sure. But hopefully it won't be the same timing every month on that line anyway. We did receive a large deposit on the merchandising and jobbing. You see the $27,000 favorable variance on there's a memory care. I have Landry French Schooner, whatever that it doesn't mean.
Yep.
It's a Schooner Memory Care Facility on Stetson Road.
Yeah. So we've received their deposit on an estimate.
That'll be spent,
We haven't paid the bill to supply the material, so that'll turn. And then on the expense side of things, a couple of notes. So health was favorable for the month, and we're back at it. We have some maintenance on the loader, $3,000 on the front end loader. And some work on it. So there's some expense on the vehicles. And we haven't paid the bonds.
That's the JB front loader, mini loader, right? Okay. Back. Yeah. The back.
So that's January's income statement. On the balance sheet side of things, just real quick, $852,000 at the end of January in cash, so we're good there. You'll see a couple lines that all have zeros. I'll clean those up for February. The Poland escrow account, we're no longer, that's done. And then the unamortized debt issuance expense, you see down below there. That's done. The auditors had us just write all that off.
The Poland escrow, are we still billing them
Yep.
for
We
water,
have
water,
the bleeders, yeah.
Yeah, instead of them putting in a big escrow, we're gonna bill them on a quarterly basis.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, thank you. Ratify payment of bills.
I move
Bob?
pay the bills.
Okay. I didn't find a single thing to question, so Bob, bring it up.
Over you, Bob.
I'm just on the second page, page 2, the second one down, new home postcards. What are new home postcards? I mean, I understand new homes, but we don't have that many new homes being built. I just saw a new home postcard and I said, that's a new one.
If it's new customers, we send a postcard with information about
So
how
any new customer?
right in the,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next one, 3, second one down, 3rd, Longshops. That was Pine Knot Road. I thought that was a water, a water project. Yet there's $9,700 being charged to sewer.
The same invoice, they billed us for some work on the airport project. So we paid the invoice, and then sewer pays back the portion that belonged to us. Because in the same week, we were working on the airport and Pine Knot Road.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Bottom of page 4, 3 up. The University of Maine is sediment analysis. Is that Thompson Brook or someplace else? 3 up from the bottom, page 4.
Sediment, that's the watershed. So
It's okay, but that didn't say watershed, so
Yeah, that got keyed in wrong. It was coded correctly, it was just a keying error. That'll be fixed with a journal entry.
thank you. We do healthcare through Anthem. On top of page 5, what does affiliated healthcare management do? Because we do it through Anthem. So do you know what this affiliated healthcare management, what they do? Or do you want to work on that and tell me later?
Is that our HRA group dynamics?
I think
That comes up by itself. That was in here someplace.
Trustee.
That was in here.
Oh, yeah, that's for new employee screening. That
No.
was a drug screening for a new employee.
Thank you. Take care of that. And the last one, page 14, 4 down. American Waterworks Association, 2,158. What's that? That shit looks like a lot of money to belong to an outfit. What's it based on?
That's an annual membership due. It's based upon the number of customers we have, how big our organization is.
So Portland pays a lot more than we do then.
Yeah.
And Lewiston too, probably.
And what are their advantages? Is it kind of like an MMA type thing for municipalities?
Yeah, the American Waterworks is really the parent organization of everything, really. They're a national organization. They come up with all the standards that are out there. We get updates to legislation that's going on. That's the real parent organization for the water industry. So we've always been a member of AWWA.
Thank you.
Okay.
We've consulted them for things related
Thank you.
to employment compensation studies. And,
So you might.
it's an important investment.
Any other discussion? Questions? All in favor? Open session?
Something quick. I found a few other water sources that had major algae breaks last year and some previous. I think I mentioned something to you guys, and I think I sent you a note. What was the actual water column at Deep Hole, as far as if we had our intake at Deep Hole that was deeper, would we have had the same problem with the cucumber and all that stuff?
It's kind of hard to say. In the past, we have looked at extending the intake out further than it is now. It's never really been completely vetted or investigated whether or not that would be worthwhile or not.
But do we actually have data at Deep Hole? I mean, the deepest part of the lake during that algae break?
We have a buoy that has right
Right.
down to the bottom that measures the temperature, and then every week we go out and we take samples. We take grab sample shots throughout the water column at the Deep Hole, so we have.
So we have data.
Right.
I mean, is that something we can look at here in the next couple months? I'm just curious because, that it seemed like to hang a pipe out there and float one out there, and then to turn that on when there's an issue.
Let me see if Chris did any colony counts at the Deep Hole. They go down and they take samples. Typically, they do the colony counts, which shows you the number of cyanura cells right at the intake. But they also grab samples throughout and around the lake. We can ask Chris and see.
Yeah,
what
I'm
he has.
just
It
curious.
has been talked about in the past, extending the intake. A couple of years ago, Lewiston had it in their CIP. They had $100,000 to investigate it, just to look at it to see if it was something that would be worthwhile.
It would seem as though you'd build a second intake, because you can't just extend a pipe that's running
Exactly.
24/7. So
There'd be a
That's
valve.
realistically what would happen, because
Yes.
you couldn't do anything while you're extending.
someday you'd like to have 2 intakes, and then you're talking
So
$1 million or better to do it right.
what's the depth of the lake at the current intake?
20 feet,
20. What's Deep Hole?
120,
120 feet.
Yep.
And how far down is the intake on this 20-foot depth?
It's about 4 feet off the bottom.
So it's 16 feet down.
Yep.
So there's a lot of room there, right? And that's what some of these other water systems are doing, just as a, let's keep the waiver going. Anyway,
They're deepening or.
Going deeper.
I just wanted to make sure we're all aware that these other water systems are working
What
that way.
other water systems?
Well,
are you
it's one of them is Syracuse, and one is, if you
thinking?
Google,
Syracuse, New York.
yeah, they're unfiltered. The other one I'll have it and I can send it to you. I can send you the literature. They're all looking. They had a huge algae break same year we did, and they have a big recreation thing going on that lake. So they're getting more static and more income and more grants from the recreational side of things than the water quality, water side of things. So they're getting it from both ends, and they're really trying to find a solution.
So Syracuse, New York is one.
Yeah, and there's 4 water systems on that lake, and I want to say the lake's called Schenectady.
4 municipalities.
4 water systems drawn from that lake. Yeah, and they're all unfiltered. It's interesting. Anyway, so that's what I had.
Activity report.
Activity report. So the month of January. So it was,
First item says fire.
yeah, that was just a response to a fire at 146 North River Road. That was actually the child cleaning. So we get called to go, man the system, make sure the hydrants are performing and everything's satisfactory on the water side. We did have a couple of water main leaks. One on Lake Street at Lake at Beacon was called in and actually turned out to be a service that was running out into the road. But the leak we did have was on Louise, and that actually is still ongoing. We couldn't actually find where the leak was coming from with the amount of frost that's in the ground. We did quite a bit of digging, and the leak is pretty minimal, so we're just waiting for the frost to come out of the ground, and hopefully it'll show us where it's really coming from. We do know it's our water. The water is getting into a catch basin and not causing any issues, and it's a minimal amount of water, and it's not causing a disturbance at this time, so I'm going to leave that one be till there's a little less frost. The rest, pretty routine. This time of year, we really, again, with the snowstorms, the way they pile up, we do a lot with the fire hydrants. We've been doing a lot of maintenance of equipment. We've been doing a lot of welding on buckets to the loaders and the backhoe and the excavator just to reinforce those, getting those ready for the construction season. With the snowstorms, hydrants get hit by plows and vehicles. We've repaired a bunch of broken hydrants, as you can see. We try to stay on top of that list. I think we do have a couple still out right now, but we've been keeping the list pretty small throughout the winter. We did have a number of frozen services and meters. We had a little bit of a cold snap in early January.
How does an auto dealer get a frozen meter?
They have
Is it not inside?
their water meter is inside their garage, and they keep their garage doors open with vehicles going in and out. And I guess we had just changed that meter out this fall, and we told them to put the insulation around that because of the insulation around it. They moved it. We got in there, changed the meter. We told the guy put insulation back around that. They never did,
Oh, okay.
and it froze up. So.
So what's it take to thaw out a frozen meter? In general.
In general, we go there, we pull the meter out that froze, we put in a meter that's tested and not frozen, we turn the water back on. We take the meter that was frozen back to the shop, we replace anything that was broken, we put it on the test bench, it's tested, put back on the shelf. So we just take it out, rather than trying to, you put the bottom back on and you find out it doesn't read right, then you back in there, it's easier, just change it out. So, and we do charge them for anything.
That was gonna be the second part of the question. You do charge them for service.
So outside of that, things pretty routine, and it's always good to see the mains category light in this time of year because there's not much going on than a lot. So really gearing up right now for construction projects, and we'll talk more about that in project update.
Okay, thank you. New business, water quality update.
Yes, water quality update. This time of year is a very brief conversation because this is the time of year that our water quality is very, very good. With the ice on the lake, no sunlight getting down through, our turbidity is down around a 0.3, so we don't get people calling us raving about the water, but I guess no news is good news.
Yes, you won't hear praise, only hear complaints.
That's right. But right now the water quality is as typical for this time of year. Is very, very good. We're not obviously doing in-lake testing because we don't do it during the winter, but the parameters we do test for are good.
Is that number comparable to previous years?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. That's just about what it gets down to. High 0.2, 0.3. So it's
So it's reset at normal.
it's very good right now.
Good.
So
That's,
Nice to get a newspaper article out of that.
One thing on water quality, I did include in your packets a copy of the latest watershed newsletter. Now, I have a question. I want to make sure you folks are you all getting a hard copy of that by mail?
Yes.
I didn't,
I got one.
Okay, because
I saw it online, but I didn't get a copy.
okay, because we are. I'd like to know that because we're going to recheck our database because we are putting out with Lauren Olson, our new education outreach coordinator. As you can see, we are putting out this newsletter again. I want to make sure you're all getting it. We're using the same outlet database that we had when Richard was here. All trustees got it, all commissioners got it, all abutters around the lake watershed neighbors got it, and they can sign up if they want it electronically. I just want to make sure our database is still good.
I received an email too.
Okay.
How about council?
I don't remember receiving anything.
I think
From
you-
council, I'd have to check and see if that database includes the council.
I would encourage you to
Yep.
make sure they get it,
Okay, yep. Make a note of that.
as well as email.
Okay.
And
It's obviously on our website, our
I
media,
just
all that
think-
things,
but
but you're right.
going to a website requires a user to
Mhm.
do something, and I think this is a good push out communication.
I'll check into that and make sure that they're on that.
Okay.
So
PFAS.
PFAS, PFOA, this is a presentation I gave, I'll make it brief. This is one that I gave to the sewer trustees as well last night. I know at the last meeting we had, I mentioned this issue, and there is a flyer on your desk in front of you from the EPA. This is an issue that you should all have at least a general awareness of. It's a very hot topic in the media right now, so I just wanted to spend a minute and go over what this is and what it is not. You might have heard about it in the news already. There's a substance out there, PFAS. What are PFAS? It's a per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. It's a real tongue twister. It's a group of over 3,000 different proprietary chemicals that make up this particular type of chemical. It's a chemical that's found in several different types of products, and they all have a common link. It's a strong carbon and fluoride bond that's put together and used in a lot of waterproofing applications. But it is showing up in a lot of different places. It's getting a lot of media attention. I just want you to have a basic understanding of what this stuff is. PFAS is made up of two different chemicals, PFOA and PFOS. Now I'll move it
Yeah,
along.
it's like,
I won't belabor it.
it's like Teflon coatings. It's,
This just shows there are over 3,000 of these proprietary products on the market now. Some of the properties that these chemicals have, they're highly mobile. They can go from one thing to another. They can go from drinking water into your body. They can go from your body into the soil. It moves around a lot. It's non-biodegradable. It's got a very strong bond. It's not very reactive. It can't be broken down by water or sunlight. Inflammable, non-corrosive, and it's bioaccumulative. It can build up in your bloodstream into high concentrations. Very resistant to change. These chemicals are found most commonly in these items here: firefighting foams, carpets, the carpets that are made out of ground up soda bottles, any non-stick products like Teflon coated cooking-ware, cosmetics, food packaging. You can see the popcorn bag, it's got a chemical in there to keep the paper from getting soaking wet, and that's where that PFOS material lives.
And that inside plastic liner.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Whatever, plastic-ish liner. It looks
So-
like wax. Wax liner.
So it's literally everywhere. Now the real catch here is there are currently no established federal limits for PFAS that are out there. The EPA has not yet determined a maximum contaminant level for this. They've set health advisory levels, and the sheet that if you got in front of your desk, if you want to read it later, but this is hot off the press. EPA is getting a lot of pressure to address this issue and set limits for how much you should be tolerated to. Long story short, they haven't established any limits, but they are working on it.
they're measuring parts per trillion, because parts per million wasn't good enough.
Right.
And
Back
parts per billion wasn't good enough, so let's go to trillions.
back in 2012, the EPA did include testing for PFAS under the the UCMR3 unregulated contaminant monitoring rule. Back then, there was a limit of PFO of 400 parts per trillion, PFOS at 200 parts per trillion. In the latest round, there is they've lowered those limits for both of those chemicals to 70 parts per trillion. Very, very, very low limits. But as science is able to detect them, they're going to keep setting those limits lower. Bottom line for us, we did test the Lake Auburn, for PFAS and PFOA chemicals as part of that UCMR3 that I just mentioned back in 2012. There were no detected PFAS or PFOA at that time. However, as I just said, with new limits coming out, there's going to be much more stringent limits.
But we didn't find any at all.
We didn't find any then, but that was when we were testing. The only thing you could test for was up to the 400 parts per trillion. So there was no detect. Not to say that it wasn't at the new limit, which is 70, but we just didn't test back then for that, and we weren't required to.
It's not exactly accurate to say none were found. It was just
Right.
that none were
Not to the
found
limit that we had to test at that
the
time.
400 limit.
Right.
I see.
States across the Northeast, there's a tremendous amount of public pressure on doing something about this chemical. As I mentioned before, the U.S. EPA has not set a maximum contaminant level. They've set a health advisory level, which is one step below a regulation. Their health advisory level is 70 parts per trillion. Maine has adopted a maximum exposure guideline that matches the EPA's health advisory limit. New Hampshire's done the same thing. Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont has set a much lower health advisory limit, 20 parts per trillion. New Hampshire, you can see New York, even lower still. New Jersey has adopted a maximum contaminant level, 14 parts per trillion. That's the only state, they're outside New England, but that's the only state close to us that has.
Is there any science that says 70 parts per trillion will kill you, or
No, there
200
isn't.
will, or
There isn't, and actually the research is not conclusive about the health effects of having this in your body. There's no conclusive evidence that there is any harm.
so we're just regulating in abundance of caution.
Right.
What's the
Regulating
remediation?
at best.
What's the remediation to lower levels if it was higher?
There are some different types of filtering that can be effective for it, but
So if you were in New York State and you can't do, the 10 PPTs was adopted and you had higher, you would filter it.
that's one option. You could do that. There are other ways to do it as well. Through most of these are issues with groundwater wells. Most surface water wells or surface water supplies. You're not going to find, in general, these limits unless there's an acute input of that material in the
Factory
lake.
was next
Right.
door.
Right. It's mostly a groundwater issue, but so again, although there has been pressure from various environmental groups, as of this date, I just went to a seminar last week. The Maine Drinking Water Program has not adopted a regulatory standard for these chemicals. They're along with other states, Maine is kind of being cautious, making sure that they don't over-regulate things before they understand the full extent of what their exposure might be. They are planning to test 19 sites in Maine in this coming year, mostly groundwater wells, but they are going to target a few surface waters as well. They haven't given us a list of where those are going to be. I don't know if they are going to come in and test Lake Auburn. They haven't determined that yet. So the bottom line of this whole thing is public information is moving faster than the scientific community. That's the thing they kept stressing over and over and over again. You know, with today's speed of media, I think media is getting ahead of the science. So at this point, I'm just hoping you all have a general awareness of what this is and what might be on the horizon to keep an eye on.
So I have a question for Sid. Along this line, different chemical. It's chloramines that we use to disinfect.
Mhm.
And is there a health advisory level by the US EPA for chloramines? Because
There is an upper limit. You can't do it at more than 5 milligrams per liter.
5 milligram. Because I'm not one of these conspiracy type people, but apparently, and I'm trying to find out that chloramines has been banned in Europe. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about this, and that they're finding out there's carcinogens, blah blah blah, and this and that, and that could be coming down the pike too. So we should be ready for that one too. If it's going to be a future agenda item, I'd like to see it on there sooner than later.
You have some data you can send me on it?
It's just like I've been every chance I get, I'm on the road or something, I'm Googling stuff, I'm doing screenshots. I probably can pull something up. But Jason Paulina's wife, Carrie, who works at Maine, what's the testing place?
A&L Labs?
A&L Labs. She's there. I'm trying to get her to get me some information. And there's some stuff on my phone. I just haven't had a chance to do it because there's snow on the ground now, and I'm a snow guy. So, but, obviously nothing that we have to worry about today, but I'm trying to get that information. I'll get it to you, Sid.
If there's something coming through the EPA, EPA.
Right.
American Water
I'm
Works.
sure something's out there.
Right. So I figured you guys would,
Keep your eye open for it.
anyway. So,
And that is what that's the reason we belong to American Water Works. They keep their eye on all this stuff.
yeah. Is it really banned in Europe?
No.
That's my question.
I'm wondering about that, and I'm wondering if there's people who treat with chloramines, and then there's issues with disinfection byproducts.
Right.
Because that's
So
I've never heard anything about chloramine.
I figured I would just throw it out there in case you guys had heard something, and I'll get more information and follow up on that.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay. Mike, you're on.
Project update. So we have been working on getting ready for construction this summer. And probably just
I'll hold it up for you.
awesome. We could be in a white here. So Poland Road, we are going to be replacing the water main from Hotel Road. We just had a water main break right there in a snowstorm last week. We're going to be replacing this water main down Poland Road, past Rodman Road, flip over. We're going to be going all the way back through to Taylor Brook. 7,000 feet. We've got $700,000 in the budget to do this work. This is going to be the main charge of the water crew as soon as construction season opens up in the spring. We've been looking at the different side streets and where we need to put in the valves, how we're going to coordinate temporaries, and how we're going to make all this work happen. Our water foreman came to me today and asked me, one of the things we're worried about, this is a big project, 7,000 feet. It's over a mile itself. The city is going to be doing a mill and fill on Poland Road in 2020, so they're not doing anything on this year. So that means we're going to have to do 5 inches of hot top, 2 feet of gravel. That's what we have to put back in. It adds to the project cost, whereas if they were doing that work this year, then we could do less paving, save some money per foot. So we're looking at some different things to try to save some money when we do this work. We're actually going to look at sections to possibly pipe burst, particularly right here. You've got the stretch right here that there's only 4 services. You could pipe burst this, dig, reconnect, and you save on paving costs and all of these gaps where there's no services. You could save quite a bit of money, get the water main replaced. Pipe bursting is when you take a new pipe and pull it inside of the existing water main. We did this on Pine Road last year. We got 3,300 feet done in 3 weeks and half the cost of traditional construction.
You'd risk raising the asphalt level a little bit.
From what they say, you don't have that issue. You're not displacing that much earth, and they haven't seen issues with that. What you run into is when you have a gas main right on top of the water main like we do. When you burst that, you could potentially do damage to the gas main. So we're really going to have to look at this. I don't know if that's going to be an option or not. I started exploring it today. So I put it to a couple of companies and said, hey, take a look at this. Do you see any opportunities for pipe bursting, and what could you offer me? So
The gas mains on top of our
right on top
water
of the
main.
water main. right on
So-
top.
So you're gonna have to put a new water main in and leave the old one there?
Or you're just gonna have to. It's gonna be slow and grueling. Or you could leave the existing water main in place, step over a couple of feet, and just lay a new one.
Lay another one next to it.
It's going to be grueling, but we're going to get through it. So, and it's not the case in the whole project. In certain areas in this map, have actually overlaid the gas main. So in some places you see right here, it separates out the water's to the left, but here the gas is to the right. And over here, they swap sides of the roads. But
You're looking at subcontracting some of the work.
yeah, to pipe burst some of it, and that would help. We would still work with them, do all the excavation for the pole pits and stuff. We'd save a lot on excavation. But I'm not saying that's what we're going to do yet. I'm just exploring it as an
Probably not
option.
like Minot Avenue where we had Longchamps working. with
Right,
us
no,
on the side.
not like that.
You
But
can't wait to do it when the town's doing their thing.
Wouldn't be time.
well,
A mile and a half we got here almost.
it actually works out for us better that they're not doing, because they would have this already bid and awarded, and they'd be looking to start, and they'd be after us like, when are you gonna get this done? When are you gonna get it done? We actually have the whole window this summer to get 7,000 feet done. It actually is, for me, is a little, takes the pressure off. I've got nobody saying, I've got no contractor wanting to get in behind me to do their work. So right now we've got the road and we can do our thing, and I think we're gonna come out at or under budget, and we're gonna try to do some things to save a little bit. There's other stretches, particularly like right here. This is just a prime candidate for pipe bursting. You've got nothing, no services. That is a great candidate right there. You just dig, do the reconnect. You got one service here, so there's some room. I want to say, from something I've measured off before, this is about 1,000 feet right there. So boom, right there. They could do that in one pole.
Yeah.
There's potential there to save, and again, just trying to. We've got $700,000 budgeted for 7,000 feet. That's $100 a foot. We could do some of it for $30 a foot. Let's do it. So.
Is the gas line that new thick, flexible plastic type rubbery stuff?
I
Or the
think
old
this
stuff?
is a high pressure gas main. I think that's 8-inch plastic.
8-inch
So,
plastic.
yeah.
It's got
But
pretty
and I
thick
think
walls.
it's
on it.
inside of a cast iron older gas main.
They put it inside.
Yeah,
of the
well,
old-
That's what they normally do.
They have an older one, and then they replaced it. They just pulled a new one inside of it. It's kind of like what we're doing with the pipe burst.
Just back to the question of the interaction when the city does a piece of road, and when they're working next year, 2020, will they be in the exact same section then?
Yeah. They're doing
So does that mean that the investment that we would make in repaving is gonna be totally undone?
we're gonna
It's
put
the
back
top, the
5
top.
inches. We're gonna put down 5 inches of hot top.
Yeah,
They're gonna come through and they're gonna mill or grind off the top 2 inches. Grind it right off.
okay.
They're going to take that reclaim. They get a credit for that towards their project. The contractor can reuse that. It's not a lot, but it's a credit. And then they resurface the road. So, but yes, the hot top we're putting down is going to get ground off in 2020 and then surfaced over.
2 inches of the hot top.
Right. I did ask if there was any possibility that we could leave the hot top down a foot. Can I save an inch? What if I only put 4 inches of hot top back and I leave it down an inch? But then you're dealing with an offset trench. Any of you that were on the board remember Broad Street, and somebody tripped on a ground edge and there was litigation. And
Yes, yeah.
you start dealing with that on something like Pullman Road, where you've got over a mile of road that's lowered and somebody tripped or somebody had an accident or a motorcycle.
And it's
You're
going to be over
open-
the course of a year before they
You're opening yourselves up for liability. So the city engineer said, Mike, I'd really prefer no. And I tend to agree.
So it would be one thing if they were going to follow us immediately, but that's going to sit there for a year before they come in.
This is definitely something we're working on. I don't want, again, just different things we're looking into. I think we're going to get all the work done. We're going to come out at our budget, and things are going to
How
be
did
good.
that surface so high in priority?
This was because this was supposed to be a mill and fill in 2019, but they didn't get the funding. So this was supposed to be done this summer, and we were going to be on the crutch to get it done before them. So we were going to start here and get as far as we can, and they were going to start working right behind us.
The city was.
The city was, but they didn't get the funding for 2019. It is funded for 2020, and it actually, like I said, it takes pressure off me because now I don't have anybody.
I get the convenience
Yeah.
factor for you, but I just want to mention that there are times when people say that we're
Yeah.
not in sync enough, and
Right.
this might look like a time that we're rushing to do this.
We've actually, if you go back years and years, we've put each other off on this project for a long time. This Poland Road's been nicknamed
Like
Band-Aid Alley
10 years we've been talking
for a
about
long
this.
time. I mean, we were ready to do what the city wasn't. The city was, we weren't. This is the first time it's really come together, even though it's not perfectly synchronized. This is as good as we're ever gonna get for trying to coordinate this project and get it done.
And is that causing it as breaks? Why are
We just
doing
had a
it?
break right there 4 or 5 days ago, right there on this main that we're looking
We've had
at.
dozens of breaks up
And then we had a break
Well, that
last
justifies
winter right at
purchase.
Rodman Road. We had a break right there. You know, it's time to go.
When we get our system assessment report, this was one of the high priority areas to get done.
Who's our largest water customer through here?
Probably either going to be MWAC or the Superior Concrete. And then you get GE there. You get some big ones.
And MWAC isn't MWAC anymore.
Oh.
It's their main waste to
Waste
energy.
energy.
Main waste.
That's where Auburn
But still,
Concrete is too.
you're being waste energy.
They're a big one.
Well,
They use
but
water
they're-
all the
that's the
time.
name
in
of
the
the
summer.
building and
Right.
everything's changed.
So
to
they're
main-
constantly
main
filling
waste
trucks.
to energy.
So we're
Oh,
gonna have
is
to be
it?
very careful to. We might be able to. They're on the corner. They're right. Next. Well, either way, they're right here.
Yeah.
So that's their facility right off Goldthwait Road. I'm going to be able to shut off Goldthwait. This will be fed through Pine Knight Road. I'm going to try to feed them off this hydrant here, so I can just shut that main down. They're fed from here. They'll never know they didn't. They'll be able to continue their operation, but. That's the type of stuff we plan now. Okay, how are we going to feed all these people? What are we going to do? That's just what we're working on now.
About how old is the water pipe?
No breweries being disrupted though. So
I'd have to look the date up. I think it's 30s. It's cast iron concrete lime, so it's not the oldest stuff around, but it's very weak. So that's that project. 5th Street, we might as well talk about that one now, because it's a project and it's in your package. The city did put that out to bid for reconstruction. As part of the reconstruction bid, there was a price in there to replace the water main. Where we're going to be preoccupied, replacing more than a mile on Poland Road. Sid and I feel it would be in our best interest to go along with the bid for the city. The low bidder was Longchamps and Sons Excavation. I think you see that on page 2. I think the total price is $41,800. I think we have $150 or so in the budget to do 5th Street, so that's just the cost for them to install it. We still have to buy the materials, coordinate the temporaries, do the shutdowns. I think we're going to come out at or below our budget, so I think this is a good number. And again, I don't know if you guys need to formally vote on it, but it was like your support to award this construction contract to Longchamp. The city's going to award it to them for the road.
I'm looking at here as any objection.
That's
And the city, we're gonna go along with Auburn's award.
right. Otherwise, we could have saved money if we went with Glidden. I think they were lower for the water main costs. They were $39,000 for the water, but it really wouldn't work. Actually, Bedard $31,000. Anyways, Longchamps has got the project, so I have to go along with that.
Okay.
That's it for.
Should we take a vote on that, because that's a capital
All right.
expenditure?
Can we have a motion to award to Longchamps?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
just a quick question.
Take that hand down.
Okay, I see. There's Longchamps. Okay. Okay, I'm in favor.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks. All right, long core settlement study.
The only other thing under project update, I did want to update you, we are still in the process of obtaining our alum permit from the DEP. Erica Kidd, our watershed manager, is working on that. She's coordinating a lot of the documentation that has to go into it, so she's diligently working. We should have that in plenty of time to do our alum treatment. So that's just a quick update on the alum. The long core sediment study, I just noticed that it wasn't in your packet. I did make you copies of it. Should be in front of you. This was the final report from Dr. Steve Norton on the long core sediment project. And this, the highlights of this, page 2 is you'll see the recommendations that came from that. There's nothing earth-shattering there. I think it's things we all know. Continue to work with landowners to reduce phosphorus sources into the lake, prevent erosion of the watershed, talked about some lake level management, keep speedboats off the lake, talked a little bit about some of the climate change and how that's affecting the lake. Continue to monitor the inlet streams on a regular basis, looking for phosphorus and looking for ways to eliminate those inputs. And then the final thing, talking about treatment of alum, if we do, make sure that we've identified exactly where and how to dose
I already looked at it.
the alum. So, again, I'm sorry, I thought this was in the packet, it wasn't, but if there are any questions anyone has about this, they can either certainly bring them up anytime they like.
So we can read it in the next month if there's questions, bring it up. Ag zone?
Yes, Ag Zone Ad Hoc Committee update. I just wanted to, I believe there's a copy in your packet of this. The Mayor's Ad Hoc Committee on the Ag Zone. They've had a few meetings on this. They've had a few revisions. This is going to be going to the City Council on the 25th. That's this coming Monday, I believe. The belief is that this work at the ad hoc committee is going to go to the City Council, and they are going to probably send that back down to the Planning Board for review. Any, I don't know if that's
Yeah,
a
I
correct
believe that Monday, I
interpretation.
haven't seen the agenda, but I believe Monday they're gonna. there's gonna
Address
be a-
this.
Be a motion to send it to the planning board,
Okay, yeah.
for their review.
And the most significant findings that I see from these revisions that they've made is, it currently reads that, your property has to be 10 acres in order to develop it under this ordinance. This brings it down to 3 acres for possible
What
development.
page are you on?
Um,
Because I followed this, I'm not on this particular task force, but it's my understanding that's not the universal new standard. It's that there are already identified parcels that have been created as parcels. That's sort of going to be the restriction I constructed. And there's 76 of them throughout the ag zone. And there's a small number of parcels between 3 and less than 10 acres, and that only those
right.
are going to have construction permitted on them without any ability to subdivide going forward to less than 10. So that's there are 76 of those, and they are trying to give relief to people. There's a couple of people who own 9 acres. And the idea that you
Right.
could own 9 acres and be short an acre and can't do anything with your 9 acres is problematic for those individuals. So it's capped at the existing parcels.
And that definition is on, it's in your package, it's on page 4, bottom of page 4, it talks about the, going from 10 down to 3.
It says that you're not gonna be able to create them,
Correct.
so that means no new ones.
Right.
But it is this, and I believe there was a map at the public meeting associated with this, a map of where those existing parcels are located. And they're widely scattered, of just people who ended up with odd shapes and sizes of parcels.
The other significant portion of this, and I apologize, I don't have it in your packet, but under the definitions of what a farm constitutes, there is a, you must, in order to be deemed a farm, you must now meet 2 of 4 criteria, the most significant being you must have at least 2.5 acres. I'm just going to pick a little piece out of this. Devoted to long-term resource conservation, such as forestry, is one of the things you can do. Another thing that would be quite easy to meet is you must have a minimum investment of $1,000 or more, or other farm or resource conservation effort. So under the new definition of a farm, you could dedicate 2.5 acres of this property to forest management and an investment of $1,000, which could easily be, you could buy a tractor to maintain this, you could put up a fence around it, you could put up signage that could easily meet this criteria.
So that's a hot topic with this, is whether or not there are enough higher standards. You know, the current 50% of your income has clearly not succeeded in doing anything at all, and it's probably got some legal problems associated with it. So the question is, how to define a farm? And what the Maine the Department of Agriculture for Maine, a really actually outstanding woman named Stephanie Gilbert, it says the most important thing for young farmers is to remove as many barriers as possible. That the barrier to entry for a new farmer, for a 21st century farm, is get rid of barriers. And then provide a variety of forms of incentive. So, you're correct, Sid, if you're suggesting that there's some who question whether the $1,000 is high enough. And I think that will be as an income or investment level.
Yeah.
But I think that's the ongoing conversation. The framework for this discussion is that, in fact, what truly incentivizes 21st century farming is to remove barriers. And that was part of the motivation.
I don't know if this is a point of order, but Casey, I got a question. Why are we even working on this when this should be a commission thing, right? If we're worried about,
This is,
part
well,
of-
it's
that's
a
part of
general,
the-
it's an awareness thing.
Okay.
That's part of the debate whether or not we should have a commission or not, and that still hasn't been.
Oh, you mean
Totally
the
hashed
watershed commission, though? Are you thinking the watershed commission or
the
the
watershed
Ag-
commission.
But if there's any ag land in the watershed, then they would be affected by this.
Of course.
organization.
And they should be reviewing this, right?
And they will. We actually, it's in their packet that the meeting got canceled, well, it got postponed last month. This is going to be on the
Okay.
agenda for their next
I
meeting.
just want to encourage you
So
to
this is an awareness thing. for us.
report it accurately, though, because, you know, you have to get these things right, or else it sounds like it's only
Well,
bad.
the other thing is with this too, and thank you, Mary, for that, but the thing that got me kind of looking at this with two eyes is the whole intent of this was a 50% rule to allow somebody to build a building on that land.
Yeah.
It wasn't to define what a farm was, only in the context of allowing a person, if they have this 30 acres, but they don't derive 50% of their income from farming, they're not allowed to build a building on it. So they now have 30 or 40 acres that's worthless, they can't even build a house on it, unless they can prove they had 50% of their income from that farm. So the idea was to give people a chance to build it, and I think there's some pretty strict restrictions on what you can build, but you can build a house on your 30 acres, as long as you can show a lot lower standard than 50%. And that was really the whole reason why this came up. But now we're getting all this other stuff going, and the weeds are growing taller, with this other political stuff, and I just don't know how it's
It's
gonna end up.
complicated.
But the idea was to allow somebody to build a house if you owned land in the ag zone, to build a house on your property without having to do 50% of your income.
So when's the Lake Water Protection meeting?
It's scheduled for next month, the same time, so that would be March
Okay, so
13th.
it was
It was postponed from February
One month.
13th. Yep.
February to March?
Right.
Okay, because I forgot to go to that, and I found out it was canceled.
Right.
So I'm glad I forgot,
Yeah, there was no quorum, so unfortunately.
because I didn't hear it was canceled, until I found out I didn't go.
Well, the important thing is this goes to the planning board, and they'll be reviewing it, and there'll be public hearings there. Then it'll
Yep.
come back to the council. to be
As it
looked
should
over
be,
again.
it's city
Right.
ordinances.
And then the city council will get it back, and then that's when they'll start doing the real debate and the vote on whether they're gonna do it or not. So tomorrow, Monday is not a,
Approval.
It's just
It's
a
more a-
formal
refer it to the planning board.
procedural. I guess.
I'm just trying to keep people up to date on what's going on.
That's fine.
Just caution you to be sure if you
Okay.
got the details right.
Taylor Pond,
Yes, along the same thing, there was and it's in your packet as well, there was a amendment that came out. There was a signed petition from several people around the Taylor Pond watershed. The reason this caught my eye, it was meant to be a Taylor Pond thing, but it also mentioned the Lake Auburn watershed as well in the wording. I think that the bottom, again, this is an FYI, I think the bottom line for this one, this also is going to be going to the council on the 25th to be discussed.
I think we actually have a first reading, I'm not sure, we've discussed it a couple of times, but I haven't seen the agenda, so I'm not sure yet if it's.
Well, it was voted down by the planning board. I went and spoke against it. And so did Tiz, and we encouraged the people proposing it, that it would have been helpful had they consulted anybody, including the Lake Auburn Watershed Protection Commission, which they had not. It was quite a small group of unilateral actors who had a problem, without any consultation with anybody, including the Conservation Committee, the Lake Auburn Watershed Protection Commission. So I spoke against it, several other people spoke against it. We were encouraging of them to actually talk to Sid, because Sid and I had talked to him. I sent it to Sid that morning. The planning board voted it down. It will still go to council, but.
We can resurrect it if we want to, or we
You
can just
can.
accept their recommendation.
Exactly, that's your council prerogative. But it does remind us to keep our eye on, people with a mission.
What was
who
their
don't
mission?
Communicate.
What was their mission?
They had a very long, if you read through this, they had a lot of things particularly related to, agricultural activities that they did not want to have happen in either the Taylor Brook watershed or the Taylor Pond watershed or the Lake Auburn watershed. And they hadn't spoken to anyone, and some of the problems include difficulties of people who live and do abide by the current environmental overlay to the Lake Auburn watershed, in the Lake Auburn watershed. It would really prevent you from doing things like tractor repair, and sort of some things that were not well thought through in the opinion of many people.
I think this group recognized that a lot of this is somewhat flawed, a lot of the
Yeah.
things that they had in that. I think there's gonna be an effort to
Clean it up, maybe.
clean it up, maybe resubmit it in a different format. But that remains to be seen.
All right, thank you. Purchase of fleet vehicles and push camera.
Alright, so one other thing I was gonna talk about is cell phones. They have that, was that all on the table for everybody?
I don't think it is.
Okay, we'll,
If you wanna go through that, I'll get a copy of that.
Right. So, we have in our budget to replace 3 of our fleet vehicles this year. We have 2 half-ton trucks and 1 3/4-ton truck. We hadn't replaced any vehicles for a couple of years, so we've got 3 due this year. We put those out to bid. I actually got this out to about 10 different auto groups around the area. These were the bids that we got back. The low bid for one of the half-ton trucks is Emerson Chevy. Quirk Ford got the other 2 vehicles that we're going to be replacing. Once you get the undercoating, the light bars, and get the radios set up in them, I think we're going to wind up coming out about $15,000 under budget on the 3 vehicles that we're looking to replace. And so I think this will fit with what we've got and should work fine. All these vehicles meet all the specs that we put out there, so just looking for the endorsement to proceed with that.
And just a real question on that, just for curiosity's sake, you said that Emerson won the half-ton crew.
Extended double, yep.
Well, they got the extended double.
Yep.
Okay. And then Quirk they got the other 2.
They got the crew and the 3/4-ton with the service body.
And they didn't get the 1-ton crew.
No.
And they were under.
The budget is $35,000 per vehicle. So the 3 vehicles, the 1 3/4-ton is probably going to go over its allocated amount, but between the 3 vehicles, we'll be well under what we have budgeted to replace them. So
Do you have to bring them to Westbrook for service, those 2, or?
we wind up getting, we bring them down to Biddeford, and we get that, we've been having all our vehicles undercoated, getting the bed liners put in, and then we spray inside the service body. We've had really good luck. I'm trying to blank on the name of it. It's not Rhino Liner, it's another product. We've had really good luck. They do a ton of them down there. So we bring them all down there, get that all done. Our electrician Rod Hill, we purchase the light bars, he installs them, we get them all set up, get the radios in them, and then, we turn them loose. So
What do we do with the old light bars?
a lot of them, the reason the one that's on my truck, we're putting it on the new one. A lot of the light bars are it's time to go. They're worn out.
Corroded.
Right.
Trucks are worn out.
The light bars.
The
are
equipment
worn
in
out.
it generally bad too.
So,
Plus they gotta look good. You can't put old
Right.
old stuff on a brand new truck.
What she
Right.
said.
so no, that's the utility trucks.
And do we need a motion
I think
motion
we're within
to,
our budget, but it wouldn't hurt. So
to approve the the purchase of 3 trucks as shown.
I'll second. No one else is seconding yet.
All in favor? Thank you.
The next one is our push camera and locate equipment. We had 18,000, 9,000 water, 9,000 sewer to purchase this equipment. We were fortunate that the trade show in Portland was a couple of weeks ago, and the vendors that supplied this equipment were right there, and they had the equipment on the trade show floor, so we're actually able to demo it, look at it, talk with the sales reps. We got 2 quotes, one from Eastcon, one from Utilitronics. The camera and the equipment that we preferred was actually the one that was the lower price. We prefer the unit from Utilitronics. We're going to get a locate device with that, and the camera. This is going to replace a camera that we currently have. So this will be well under our budget of 18,000. It should come out at 11,355. So we'd like to move forward with that one as well.
Okay.
We need a
It's
motion.
well under our budget. They put it in there.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. You like it?
All in favor?
You like it, you buy it, you own it.
Okay.
You own it.
Thank you.
Perfect. One thing, so since passing around, this kind of came up last fall. We were at a technology committee for Maine Water Utilities. They had a meeting in Gardner. And one of the sidebar conversations that kind of kicked up during the meeting was what all the different districts and municipalities were doing with their cell phone policies for their employees. And a couple of entities, I think it was Waterville and the Brunswick Sewer District, brought up that recently they had signed on with Verizon Wireless into what is called a government plan. It's special pricing and availability to government agencies like us, quasi-municipal municipalities that are eligible for them, and that they got really good rates, no contracts, free devices, and it was just this great plan. So Sid and I got talking about it on the way back. We should really look into that. I did a little bit of investigating last fall. I started following up on it this winter when we have more time. So this comparison sheet that Sid's put in front of you, if you look far to the left, this is what we currently have. We have a 16 gig plan through US Cellular with 6 smartphones, 6 flip phones, and 6 tablets that are on that data plan that we use in the field when the crews are working. We also pay out 10 monthly stipends at $30 a piece, which is $300 a month. Our current, what we pay each month is around $900. Looking at the Verizon Wireless government plan, if we signed on to a 35 gig plan, put 14 smartphones on that, did away with the flip phones, this would give more smart devices that guys could and people could use in work orders and GIS, put more tools in their hands. We'd reduce the number of tablets to 3. The way they do this is the first 10 months you pay $35 per phone for 10 months. After 10 months, that gets reduced down to, I think it's like $12 per device. So it's $12 per device, and you share that data plan. So after 10 months, we'd be looking at a bill of around $608 by the time we still had 6 employees who said, no, I don't want to carry a phone. I only want the stipend. So we'd still be paying $180 in stipends. So we'd be reducing our overall expenses from $900 to $608. So it could be quite a bit of savings after 10 months. And even for the first 10 months, it would come out under what we're currently paying. So the potential's there. The other thing that's kind of nice that Verizon offers is no contract. Currently through US Cellular, every time somebody has to update a phone every 2 to 3 years, you have to sign a contract. So then you're on the hook for the cost of that device for 3 years. If you ever want to get out of the plan, you have to buy out and buy off those devices that people have been using. Our current buyout with US Cellular is $1,128. We would get an incentive offer from Verizon Wireless of $1,300 for every US Cellular number we converted to Verizon. So we could use that money towards getting cases and chargers and everything that you're going to need if you're going to be supplying 14 smartphones. US Cellular, we did get an updated, I went to them, well, all right, Verizon's offering this, what can you do? So they came back, okay, if we put you at 14 smartphones, 3 tablets, we still paid the 6 monthly stipends, $180. Their price winds up being about $946. I'm actually a little suspicious of that because in their quote, they mentioned that there are also fees and taxes that go onto that. It's about $120. So I think that 766 number actually needs $120 more onto it. But the sales rep that gave me these numbers hasn't gotten back to me on that. But So it's 946 to somewhere around 1,060.
Operational-wise, is you guys prefer a certain service?
Well, right now everybody's pretty much on U.S. Cellular. Pretty much all our employees, whether we give them a phone or whether it's a personal phone, everybody's on. We do have several employees that are on Verizon Wireless, and during a rain day we had about 2 weeks ago, I actually sent a guy who has a Verizon phone. I said, all right, go to everybody's house. I want to see what you get for signal, and we compared with Verizon and U.S. Cellular what everybody had for, so he made me a little spreadsheet.
Oh, good.
We tried that out, and outside of one person who doesn't get coverage from U.S. Cellular anyways, he didn't get it from Verizon. So he's on Little Bear Pond, which
I've
is
had
down
good
the
luck
whole-
in this area with Verizon.
So you're on Verizon? So I also spoke with the sheriff's department and a couple other outfits, and people are generally say, oh, everybody's a fan of both. So that would be the only thing that I'd be nervous about.
I'm on Verizon, and in this room, sometimes I see extended network, or 1G rather than barely 3G. I just made a phone call to my house, and it actually rang, so I can make a call out. But you want to make sure that in your building, you want to have Verizon service, and this is a case of, I'm not sure what to make of extended service, but it's always been like that for me, at least in this room. I don't know.
I think we'll maybe put
Like
some
lots of
hardening,
windows.
EMP hardening in this back in the day.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know where the
Maybe it was
Verizon
Phil
tower
Tar,
is.
one of those guys.
You know, are they
I did
up
get-
at Guthill, or are they somewhere else?
I did get on the coverage maps for. I looked at U.S. Cellular, AT&T. I looked at Verizon. I was looking at more than just these two, but the two that seemed to be best suited for us and our employees was Verizon and U.S. Cellular. And their coverage maps, if you look at them, you can zoom right in, give them an exact address, and they'll tell you exactly what you'll get for bars of signal, data service, and it was pretty comparable for Verizon and U.S. Cellular, I thought.
Yep.
So at this point, we may wind up switching, but I just wanted to update you folks on what we're looking at.
Dude, you've done a lot of work on this.
Yeah,
A lot of hours.
This was I surveyed all the employees. This is all my stuff for that. So we've been doing a lot of investigating.
Okay, Charlie,
I gotta go.
see you next month.
Okay, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yes, good. Have a good trip. We'll
Yeah.
see you on the 13th.
Okay.
What is it, your 25th anniversary?
Yeah.
What do you say?
I'm being on the board, right?
Yeah, boy, double it.
All right.
Good night.
See ya, Charlie. All right, then, old business.
Yep, Employee Benefits Committee update, just wanted to update you all that we have reconvened the Employee Benefits Committee. Made up of myself, Mary Tiz, and on the sewer side, it's Charlie Sheehan, Ray Fortier, and employee rep Chris Curtis. We met on February 7th, and we talked mostly about the opt-out for the health insurance. We batted that back around, and we still haven't quite cut down to the final recommendation on that, but we are going to be meeting every third Thursday of the month, so our next meeting is going to be March, something. But it's every month we're going to be meeting, and we'll see how it goes and what we get accomplished. So anything we do accomplish, we will obviously bring back to the full committees.
Okay. Anything else?
Tiz wanted me to pass this around. She's not feeling well today, but she did want this out there. The City of Auburn's 150th birthday. She published a list of all the locations around the city where we're going to be celebrating with cake.
Cake.
Tomorrow, do you want cake?
You want cake? You see it
Tomorrow?
already
Oh, that's tomorrow.
Friday.
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 Let them eat cake.
Let them eat
Yeah.
cake.
Okay.
He's one of the diabetes center too.
But it must have a low sugar.
Auburn Hall on there?
That's pretty well.
That's right.
Okay,
That's all I have.
that's it. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Have a nice trip.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Sid.
It's gonna be fun.